What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer, and I'm recording today's episode on June 4th, a little bit earlier in the day than what I usually do. What can I say? It's a big day today. I just was so excited. I popped right out of bed, found out my car needed a new alternator, and decided, what better way to celebrate than by doing my podcast a little bit earlier in the day. So happy to be with you guys. I'm kidding, of course. That's not why I'm doing the episode earlier today, although that did actually happen to me. It's because tonight I'm a little busy. I'm at a bar named Sue in Mill Creek. We're having our Stanley Cup Finals watch party there. It's going to be the final SLC Puck watch party of the year. We've done about 4 of these, hoping to do a lot more next season, but this is going to be the grand finale tonight. We're going to be hanging out at Bar Named Sue on Highland Drive, watching Game 1 of the finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Puck drops at 6 p.m. Mountain Time from Edmonton, so that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great finals. A rematch of last year's finals, which went 7 games. Remember, that was a lot of drama there. Florida took the first 3, Edmonton took the next 3, and then if I'm remembering right, I believe Florida kind of blew them away in Game 7. I think Edmonton was dealing with a lot of injuries then, as they are, not a lot, but a couple this year. Loss of Zach Hyman is going to be big for Edmonton. So I'm picking the Florida Panthers to win. Let's check in on our bracket challenge here. And I just want to show you guys real quick. You're looking at the Puckovision, a technological advancement from SLC Puck. Just want to call this out here. I'm in a few different leagues, my bracket. You'll see the Utah Media Challenge, where a few members of the media, we did a little bracket challenge amongst us. And you'll notice that I'm in first place in that group. So when anybody asks who's the smartest, most well-informed media member in the state, I don't know what other conclusions to draw from this other than to say perhaps the guy who's in first place in the bracket challenge. And that happens to be me. I'm kidding, of course, Brogan Houston. I know you're listening. I love Brogan, by the way. Let's check in on our SLC Puck bracket challenge. They're not doing quite as well. I'm in 16th place. I picked the Avs to win, and they were knocked out pretty early, so, egg on my face there. Warren Sprocket, whoever that is, they picked the Oilers. They're in first by a considerable margin. They've got it locked up pretty much. So if I could have Warren Sprocket, whoever you are, send me an email, and I'll get your prize pack ready for you. Hey, I hate to, celebrate before the ball crosses the goal line, but, mathematically you have won, so... Again, drop me a note. It's Austin at slcpuck.com if you want to hit me up there. Another fun story in the news this week, I wanted to touch on really quick before we jump into the show. Did you see this from KSL.com? Have Grizzly Bears return to Utah? I didn't realize this, but Grizzly Bears haven't been in Utah in like 100 years, which I thought was very surprising. I thought Grizzly Bears were a fixture of wildlife in Utah, but nope, they've been gone, but they're coming back in a big way. That's a little terrifying. We'll have grizzly bears roaming the streets. They're not cute and cuddly as they're sometimes portrayed in popular media. They're actually ravenous, marauding murderers, and they eat everything in sight. But I still think they're a fun animal, and it's for that reason I decided to celebrate the return of the grizzly bear with these grizzly bear themed shirts from slcpuck.shop. So those are available right now. If you want to check those out, I think the design actually came out really cool on those. So big thanks to the guy in Indonesia that I hire on Fiverr for $7 to make these. So he did a terrific job. But hey, let's get into the show here. Like I said, Stanley Cup Finals, puck drops on that tonight. My pick is the Florida Panthers. So many great storylines. I've said this in the last episode too. Obviously there's no one on earth. A lot of people I said this last show. I'm just repeating myself now, but hey, it's what I do. A lot of people on earth probably really want to win a Stanley Cup. A lot of the guys on the Florida Panthers already have Stanley Cups, but they would like another, more hardware, more rings on their fingers. There is no one on earth who needs a Stanley Cup quite like Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. Again, it's like the one piece of hardware. It's a big piece. that's going to be missing from his resume should he not win one. He's going to go down as perhaps the greatest, most talented hockey player ever. He badly needs a Stanley Cup to complete his legacy. So I'm sure he's feeling a tremendous amount of pressure. I'm sure his teammates are feeling that as well. I mean, there was that great documentary of the Edmonton's Oilers run to the Stanley Cup Final to Game 7 last year. And I believe it was after Game 2 of the final last year. Connor McDavid goes in the locker room and just screams, just, "Wake the F up! Wake!" Like, he sounds a little petulant, I'll say this. But, again, considerable amount of pressure that guy has to deal with. But the Florida Panthers don't really care. That's not really any of their concern, and I think they're a better team. So my pick is Florida, and I'm going to say Florida in 6 is going to be my prediction. But we'll see how that goes. Again, it all starts tonight at 6 p.m. Meet me at a bar named Sue. That's why I'm recording this episode early, to promote that a little bit and to get this out of the way, because I owe you guys a show every Wednesday and Sunday. What else is happening in the wide world of hockey? And actually, let's just check this. I always find this kind of curious. What do you think the get-in price for tickets to the Stanley Cup Final are right now, especially one that's being played in Canada? Let's see. I had this pulled up on SeatGeek right now. I mean, that's a good question. Upper or lower bowl? Let's just say the get-in price. It looks like the get-in price, according to SeatGeek, I don't know if you can see that. It looks like you're looking at $517 just to get into Game 1 at Rogers Place in Edmonton. And then, of course, as the series, advances into these elimination games, the prices go up quite a bit. Like Game 5, which is a potential elimination game, just depending on how things go. Game 4 is as well, right? But let's see, Game 5 in Edmonton, you're looking at $1,300. Game 6 in Sunrise, Florida, close to $1,000, and then a Game 7 in Edmonton. Those are already going for over $2,000 just to get in the building. So. Newsflash, folks, they love hockey in Canada. I don't know if you knew that. This would be a big deal. This would be the first Stanley Cup won by a Canadian team since 1993. Should the Oilers pull off what I think is an upset and win the Stanley Cup this year, but again, we'll see. It's been really kind of interesting. Listening to some these national hockey podcasts, the big boys, Spittin' Chicklets in particular, is a favorite of mine. I've also been tuning into Daily Face-Off, Morning Cup of Hockey as well. And quite a few pundits of the hockey world have been saying the same thing, which I think kind of indirectly, directly affects the dialogue here in Utah. They've been talking a lot about the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? The New York Yankees of the National Hockey League. And as we've been relaying on the show here and speculating ourselves, there's perhaps a lot of interest in the Utah Mammoth acquiring Mitch Marner, the 100-point scorer for the superstar for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who may be looking for greener pastures. He's set to be an unrestricted free agent this year and will more than likely become one of the highest paid players in hockey, if not the highest paid player in hockey. A lot of people around the hockey world for weeks have been saying Utah is perhaps a favorite to land him, being that they want to improve their roster. Ryan Smith seems like the kind of guy who wants to spend some money to get his team better quicker. He's the owner, right? You guys knew that, right? So I think the pieces have all been there for this theory, but the conversation kind of changed over the last week. And I don't know if you guys who listen to other podcasts, and by the way, you're welcome to listen to other podcasts. I'll add this: my good friend Tyson Nash is debuting his Nashcast podcast today, so that's pretty exciting. He's got an interview with Bill Armstrong coming out today, so we wish Tyson the best. So when you're done with this episode of SLC Puck, go check out Nashcast podcast. But again, if you listen to these other shows, the conversation on Mitch Marner has changed quite a bit, and I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention, but there is a lot of sentiment that the Toronto Maple Leafs, depending on how things shake out with the Stanley Cup Final between Edmonton and Florida, may have a case as the second best team in hockey this year, because they took Florida to 7 games, right? And then Florida made quick work of the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see how quickly they can dispatch or not, the Edmonton Oilers. But there's a growing sentiment, it seems, that the Maple Leafs may be willing to bring back Marner and perhaps do a couple of other interesting things in free agency as well, like, perhaps sign Brad Marchand, who's currently playing for the Florida Panthers, a longtime Boston Bruin, right? And like someone that he could bolster that unit up there in Toronto. So that's something to watch, because Marner to Utah does not seem like a sure thing anymore, and it's kind of interesting. I think the Stanley Cup Final might impact that. I think especially the sentiment that the Maple Leafs have about themselves and the current team. They might run it back. They might not. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. But again, as I was just about to get into, more news around the hockey world here. The NHL Scouting Combine is underway in Buffalo, and for, I don't know how many years it's been now, the umpteenth consecutive year, I have not been invited to participate in the Combine. Even though, I'm turning 33 tomorrow. Isn't that fun, guys? I'm in the best shape of my life, bizarrely. I don't know how this happened, but I am actually in pretty decent shape. I'm in much better shape at 33 than I was at 18, so... what the heck, NHL? Give me a buzz. I'd love to come there. I mean, just give you a little information like on what is happening there. So, top 90 draft eligible players from North America and Europe are participating. 58 forwards, 27 defensemen, 5 goaltenders. A lot of physical testing. There's interviews as well. As the story goes, last year, the Utah Hockey Club then took T. Ginla out to a dinner at the Combine, so we'll see if perhaps they take someone else out to dinner this time around. Maybe James Higgins, maybe Porter Martone. I'm sure that'll be revealed, as we get closer to the draft, which is on June 27th. But, these tests are fun, right? It's the maximal VO2 test. A watt bike measures the maximum oxygen utilization. That sounds terrifying. I do like the exercise bike, but not like with all this stuff, around your face. That kind of freaks me out. And then more fitness tests, standing height, wingspan measurement. I'm happy to shoot those over. I can do those at home, and I'll send them to the scouts in the NHL. Horizontal jump, jump station, vertical jump, no arm jump, bench press, pro agility test, pull-ups, and then the Wingate cycle ergometer test. I don't know what that is, and I'm sure I didn't say that right. But if it's something that can be done at EOS Fitness, I'd be happy to get that done and shoot it over to the scouts there in the NHL. I saw something like an interesting little throwback. I did not realize this. When Sam Bennett, who plays for the Florida Panthers and a guy we talked about on the last episode, was at his NHL draft combine, guess how many pull-ups he registered in his test? Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't extremely important, but we are now in the month of June. It's wedding season. You're going to be hauled to all kinds of weddings by your partner, and they're going to get on your case. Like, why haven't you popped the question? What's going on? Your excuse should be, I haven't found the place to get the ring yet. And I've got the answer for you now. The thing that makes all this come together. You're going to get your ring from Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. Same ownership group. These guys are awesome, and they're big supporters of SLC Puck and the hockey scene here in Utah. In fact, go to either one of those locations, Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers at Charlie Square or Jonathan's Jewelry up in Cottonwood Heights, and just mention SLC Puck. They'll take $100 off of your purchase. That makes that ring purchase a little bit easier, don't you think? But hey, if you need to save even more money, I've got quite the giveaway for you right here. You can scan this QR code to scan and send a message to enter to win a $250 gift card from Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. Just scan the code. Hit send. You're in the raffle. We've been giving out a gift card for every episode of SLC Puck for quite a while now. We've been giving away these like they're going out of style. And let me tell you this, folks, they're not. So scan it, send it. Go get your ring, and make your partner happy. That's what it's all about. And finally, dive in with both feet. Commit, people. I'm not going to do that, but you should. And yeah, big thanks to Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for their support of SLC Puck. Let's get back to the show. 0 pull-ups completed by Sam Bennett. Listen, I'm not saying I could do a lot of pull-ups, but I am saying I think I could do more than 0. I think I could get at least 2, maybe 3 on a good day. That's 3 more than Sam Bennett pulled off. But I'll say this, and I said this last episode, I think Sam Bennett is a very intriguing potential free agent target for the Utah Mammoth this summer. I think he's going to be all over the ice tonight, this week, for the Stanley Cup Finals. He's a huge part of what Florida's been able to accomplish the last couple of years. Playoff Sam, they call him. His point per game production goes up considerably in the playoffs. He just has a hard-nosed, physical style. He's a pest on the ice. Some would argue he's perhaps a dirty player. Some would say that's the kind of thing that you need in the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know if you guys have been watching the playoffs already. It's a bloodbath out there. I fully expect this series to be absolutely ludicrous in terms of physicality. I think the refs are going to swallow their whistles quite a bit. I can't imagine just the intensity that will be felt on the ice. It's going to be horrifying. It'll be a spectacle. Let's not pretend, by the way, that we're not that far removed from the people who went to the Colosseum in ancient Rome and kind of got a kick out of watching the gladiators, get eaten by lions. We're not really that different from those people, right? And that's kind of what sports are now. It's a little less bloody, but it's still kind of that, And so, I mean, if that's your thing, this is going to be an unbelievable series to watch. Again, I encourage you guys to come up to a bar named Sue on Highland Drive to watch that with us tonight at 6 p.m. So, but speaking of Sam Bennett, I've said that he should be the Utah Mammoth's perhaps free agent target of choice. I've also said a lot of other things too. I've said that Tage Thompson of the Buffalo Sabres should be someone they should seek to acquire in a trade, perhaps for the 4th overall pick in this year's NHL draft, right? Bill Armstrong has said, and it's been reported, that he's interested in floating that out as a trade bait, a little something that they could center a package around. And I've played into that quite a bit. I've said, yes, let's do that. Tage Thompson, Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, they looked fantastic together at the World Juniors, at the World Championships, winning the gold medal for the United States, red, white, and blue all the way, baby. That sort of only bolstered my viewpoint on this. But I'm reminded of something that Ryan Smith said when they made the Mammoth announcement almost a month ago now. That was on May 7th, and now we're talking on June 4th. I remember Ryan said this. He's like, it's pretty amazing what happens when you have this picture in your mind and you kind of erase it, and then you let other ideas come in. That's kind of where the magic comes in. And I think at that time he was sort of referring to his idea of calling the team the Utah Yeti. They wipe that off the board, and then they bring in their big idea, the Utah Mammoth, which I think I actually like that name more. It's really grown on me. I think it's a perfect fit. And so I'm willing to apply that same principle to my mindset about Tage Thompson and being a good piece for the Utah Mammoth, right? I have this picture in my mind, and I'm going to wipe it away now. I'm done for now, for the next couple of minutes. Let's explore another possibility. This has kind of been one that's heated up quite a bit on social media with the hockey pundits. A new player has entered the chat, so to speak, and that player, I guess, is Jason Robertson. The team he represents is the Dallas Stars, a team that was eliminated by the Edmonton Oilers in 5 games in the Western Conference Final. If you watch that series, again, Dallas kind of crapped the bed in a lot of ways. Their defense wasn't there in ways it needed to be. You could argue the goaltending wasn't either, and you could make an even stronger argument that their coaching wasn't there. I think some guys became a little bit invisible. Rantanen, who had been, such a huge, driver of the bus, all playoffs, kind of lost his way there. Mikko Rantanen, I should say, towards the end of the series, Jason Robertson wasn't really there at the start of the series against Edmonton either, but he came on in a big way, especially in those last couple of games. Ultimately, though, not enough for the Stars as they were knocked out of the postseason. The preseason media darlings, I called them all year because they were picked to win the Stanley Cup by the Hockey News, but they were eliminated by the Oilers. And so it seems they may be interested in shaking things up. And the Mikko Rantanen thing is a big part of the equation, right? Big body dude, the Moose, acquired from Carolina, had formerly played for the Colorado Avalanche for quite a bit, but he's their big acquisition, big goal scorer. And as much as we saw, some good things from Robertson and Rantanen playing together in that last series, there might be an argument that those two play kind of a redundant style, and there might be some overlapping skills and abilities and things they bring to the table that perhaps might be better for Dallas to resolve other issues on the roster, right? Like the pundits are saying, like all teams in the NHL, they could really benefit from a right shot defenseman, among other things. Perhaps like just get a little bit more cap space in the future. Robertson has a bigger contract, right? He makes about $7-8 million a year. They could use that space to make room for other things, for other guys they're going to have to re-sign as well. It seems to me the Utah Mammoth could be a very capable trade partner for the Dallas Stars. And I would like to propose a trade, and you guys are more than welcome to slide into the SLC Puck hotline. I don't have that graphic up right now, but that number is 919-666-PUCK-7825. You can call in and give your take on this. But I have proposed a new trade. Again, I've wiped the Tage Thompson stuff off the table, and I have put together this little beauty right here. What I think could be a very titillating trade, and I've seen some other folks make similar trades on Twitter as well, propose trades. We're all just doing our best Bill Armstrong impressions on social media, really. But in this scenario here, I'm putting on my GM hat right now and making this trade. Utah would receive Jason Robertson. Dallas would receive the 2025 fourth overall pick. And this is going to really piss my cousin off, who thinks he's a big cutie. Right shot defenseman Maverick Lamoureux, who made his NHL debut last year, played in probably 15, 20 games for the Utah Hockey Club, ultimately sent down to Tucson to finish the year. And I'm sad about this one, but I think to make this a compelling trade offer, Utah would send Nick Schmaltz, Big Nick Energy, which was the highlight of my podcasting career thus far. So this trade would actually give Utah $1.9 million in cap space, just the way this all works out, which would, again, enable them to have more buying power for a guy like Sam Bennett and free agency. So I think they would make this trade if they really believe that Logan Cooley is their first-line center for next season, because, again, that appears to be one of their biggest issues is shoring up the center position. But the signing of Sam Bennett as your second centerman, I think makes for a really, really, really electric lineup for Utah. So, again, if these things happen, right, Utah makes this trade for Jason Robertson, acquires Sam Bennett in free agency, we're looking at projected forward lines for Utah. First line being Keller, Cooley, Robertson. Second line being Daniil Boot, Sam Bennett, Dylan Guenther. Third line, Lawson Krause, Barrett Hayton, Josh Doan. Fourth line, Alex Kerfoot, Kevin Stenlund, and then either Liam O'Brien or Matthias Michelli, depending on who they're matching up with that night. So that's what I think could be like a pretty interesting option. Again, I'm applying Ryan Smith's own principle. I had this idea in my mind. I wiped it away. I think this becomes a pretty solid lineup that would give Utah a lot of different looks. I think there's a lot of different things that come to the table with each line group. I really do think that this would be a group that would make a serious case for the playoffs next season. So This is what I'm seeing. This is my new scenario that I'm outlining. Again, would love to get your guys' input on this, but I think the fact that Dallas seems to want to shake it up and maybe putting Jason Robertson on the trade block is something that should draw a lot of attention from general manager Bill Armstrong and the Utah Mammoth. So again, let me know what you guys think. And hey, Stanley Cup Final, again, should be a lot of fun. Game 1. We're at Bar Names 2. I've said that like 8 times this episode. I would really like to see you guys there if you can make it. But hey, if not, no worries. We'll be back with you guys on Wednesday. Special episode. Or no, sorry, I'll be back with you on Sunday. It's already Wednesday. Special episode going to be recorded from a different location. So stay tuned for that. That'll be a ton of fun. I know you're going to be eagerly anticipating that all weekend. My birthday's tomorrow as well, so I'm going to be 33 tomorrow. That's pretty crazy. So anyway, really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow SLC Puck on social media at SLC Puck. Check out the merch. Celebrate the return of the Grizzly Bear to Utah with some great merch from slcpuck.shop. And we'll talk to you guys soon.